What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What's good, people? What is up? What is up? Oh, hey, why are we so small? Oh, wait, what happened? Oh, wait, no, wait.
Ooh, it's giving round square. Okay.
I didn't even know. I pressed a button and didn't know. Let me see that again. Wait. Oh, round, square. I have to play around with that. I didn't even know those were
I didn't know
options
you
that
could
we
do
had.
that. I didn't. Okay.
Me neither.
We like
Me
options.
neither.
We like options.
We do like options. What's going on, sir? How are you, sir? How are you today?
I'm well. Busy day for both of us, I believe, as we discussed backstage. But how are you?
I am doing quite well now that I see your handsome face.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
This is why people are not nice to me.
So let's get into the thing of the things, all things politics. Um, you know, the goal of this show is to present all of the information to you all so
I didn't
that
even say hi to the people yet. Welcome to Red, Blue, and Black,
I like you.
everybody. We are here for episode 8. Welcome to episode 8 of Red, Blue, and Black with your hosts, Cams, and myself, L Teddy 27. Now, Cams, you can go and say what you were saying. I ain't want to be rude to the people and not even say hi to them.
You ruined my mojo. But anyway, um, so
What?
there are multiple issues that are going on within this presidential election, and I think that we need to broaden our horizons beyond just the domestic things that are going on. So let's start with what we thought was a weak point of the Harris Walls campaign. Let's start with what's going on between Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, the Middle East in general. So, to begin with this, I think that people don't realize the scale of what has been occurring since October the 7th. Um, Nearly 1.9 million people have been forced to flee their homes. They've been displaced. And there is some concern from the Palestinians that they are going to become forgotten as Israel and Lebanon are engaging in, I would say, brinkmanship. We're trying to see who blinks first, but there's a very real escalation of force that's happening. And we hope that Iran doesn't get involved, because then the next president elect might be guiding us into World War III.
I truly think that the American populace is just so ignorant to how volatile these situations are. Like, just completely, ignorant to it. Mainstream media is so enthralled in every word, syllable, letter, and character that comes out of the mouth of Donald John and his just complete buffoonery, that they're giving little to no airspace to what's going on over there. And I think that's intentional and deliberate, because we know there is a bias toward Israel by our mainstream media, and also by frankly, by the American government on both sides. And so, if they give this the airspace that it deserves, it forces them to really allow the American population to look at the atrocities that's going on at the hands of the Israeli government. And that doesn't help their narrative of, we must give unfettered, unabridged, unbridled support to Israel no matter what, because they always start off with, oh, we respect, or we will always back Israel's right to defend itself. Mind you, I keep saying this isn't Israel defending itself. This is Israel going on the offense.
There's no, you're getting no disagreement from me, right? And I think that sort of what we're missing in this is all the money that we funnel to them. And some of it is direct funding. Some of it is, oh, you have to buy certain weapons from us, whatever. But we do give them direct aid. The money that we give everybody can come with conditions. So why can we not have that in place? And it's concerning to me, because we're pushing so many of these Palestinians into southern Lebanon, and it's already limited resources and infrastructure. Like, they can't keep up with that influx. But when you have daily airstrikes that are killing mainly women and children, I think it's important that we note that the primary people that are on the receiving end of these strikes are civilians.
Well, now that we're over bombing or have strikes against Lebanon, they're still not even telling you all that's going on in the West Bank. They're just completely silent on what's going on as we speak in the West Bank as well. But did you see where they were dropping leaflets basically saying, y'all got 2 hours to leave, to the citizens of,
Right.
saying they're dropping leaflets out of the sky. You pick up a leaflet, it says, yeah, you got 2 hours to leave. And if you choose not to leave, then that's your fault. You suffer whatever consequences come.
Yep. Move. You
Or the
need to
letter
be out
may
within
say,
2 hours, and you need to move 1,000 meters away, or to the nearest school.
or something to that
But
effect.
I'm
Or
like,
they're saying
y'all are hitting hospitals. So like, am I really safe in
hospitals,
a school?
schools, and everything else. And then they're saying if you're near a known Hezbollah agent or a no. What if I don't know where Hezbollah is? What if I don't know if they're next door or if they're in my apartment building? How
And
does
they
that work?
basically said anybody that's near the facilities or weapons, you are putting your lives and the lives of your family at risk.
Hmm. That's what they're dropping leaflets right now. They're saying that listen, you got 2 hours. Decide what you're gonna do, but it's coming.
And it's like I just feel like we use language to sort of desensitize the American public to it. Just like when we first were in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Insurgents. What is that? What is
Mhm.
an insurgent? We don't know what that is. You're not connecting that these are human beings, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like the military. And I was in the military. I went to Afghanistan in 2012. Saw some things. I know how war works. It's not beautiful, and I feel like if more people saw it, there would be less of it. But collateral damage is a term that I feel like people need to look up.
Hmm.
You need to look up what collateral damage is. Oh, you blew up this hospital, this children's hospital, and everybody in there died. Collateral damage.
Hmm.
Like you can't connect collateral damage to the suffering of innocent people. Like and that's intentional. But we know that America, we make money off of war. And that's why we've been at it unfettered for decades now. It makes the economy run.
I
But
mean, you're basically that would be like somebody you walk on your way home from work. You come and on your front door and say, "Hey, you got 2 hours to get out of Dodge. I can't promise you that you ever gonna come back because we about to bomb this whole thing." You now got to be faced with, okay, what if my kids are at school? What if my spouse is at work? 2 hours, I don't now I got to figure out what am I going to take out my house because you could have, all of the things that connect you to your life, photos and mementos of family members, important documents, all kinds of stuff. You got 2 hours, figure your life out. Like that's inconceivable to most of the American population. But this is essentially what's happening. And when they say you got 2 hours to go, you ain't coming back. What you come back to is going to be rubble.
you
What do you
left,
do?
there was a house there. You came back, it's a smoldering ruin.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, us as American citizens who are engaging in democracy, we're going to be voting in November. This is something that we have to think about too. Which party is going to have the better policy for this? Because I only see this situation continuing to escalate with Benjamin Netanyahu in charge. Like
Yep.
he said that Israeli troops need to stay within Gaza to prevent Hamas from coming back. Hamas has said there is no deal if they remain within Gaza. So like it's like the talks have broken down for a ceasefire.
Oh
Now we
yeah,
could
they
talk about
completely broken down.
we
Completely.
want to get them to the table, but I think that this is something that we really need to think about. Who do we want guiding the ship if something pops off?
If I'm being brutally honest, which I always am, I think both sides are
Trash,
trash on it. Both sides.
trash.
We know Donald Trump is going to give full throated support to Benjamin Netanyahu. Not going to give him, in a matter of fact, he's probably going to want him to go to all out war. Whereas, whereas with the Biden administration, they try to be deceptive and covert about their, full throated support to the Netanyahu government because they always tell us, oh, well, we're telling them that they need to take diplomatic, approaches to this. Well, we're really sitting every day and trying to have a ceasefire. Meanwhile, you're handing them weapons, but then saying that they need to have a ceasefire. That you can't. That doesn't make sense,
We talk out of both sides of our mouth.
right? And I think that it's going to become very real when, because they've already started sending troops. Troops have already started to be sent, and so
40,000.
and I think, see, here's my question. My question is, and you're the political scientist on this show, and so I will acquiesce to you. And you are a former military veteran. Am I wrong in thinking that war must still be declared by the legislative branch? Last time my civics class told me, in order for the United States of America to officially go to war, it used to be, now things change, laws get changed. We know I had a civics class before 9/11. So a lot has changed since I had a civics class, okay? However, are we at the point now where we truly have the commander in chief and they basically can go out there and do whatever they want in terms of military action and war? Is that where we are, sir? I just want to know where we are.
Well, it's an interesting question, right? So when you talk
Mm,
about constitutionally, war declarations, when you declare a war, both the legislative and executive branches gain an enormous amount of emergency powers um, to mobilize the military for war, to deal with foreign threats. Um, Major changes, as we know during World War II, like they were rationing things, totally legal, right? Um, so as we talk about post World War II, because we haven't formally declared war since 1941, uh, Korea, Vietnam, um, domestic civil wars where we felt like we had a stake in the outcome. Eh, the War Powers resolution that they passed in, I believe, 73, it makes it easier for the president to deploy troops under certain conditions without congressional approval or a formal declaration of war. Simply put, um, technically, yes, they are supposed to declare war, but how it actually works in reality, I think that politically, no one wants to declare a war. And as we're seeing the escalation of us sending 40,000 US troops to the Middle East, you are also seeing massive resignations from the military. They're not able to recruit the younger generation enough. So if there is another war, we've seen what happens when it's a draft. It's very deeply unpopular, and it's it's also very interesting because like we know that these rich people's kids aren't going over there, and so poor people are done fighting rich people's wars. So that's where we're at right now.
yep. Well, I ask these questions because we will find ourselves in a situation where, because hell, if you tell me they may not declare war, but I remember the first Operation Desert Storm in the early 90s. Was that Colin Powell or Schwarzkopf?
As the supreme commander,
Mm-hmm.
what
I
is the
think
name?
that was Stormin' Norman Schwarzkopf. I remember Stormin' Norman, General
Yeah,
Schwarzkopf. That was in the early 90s, right? What, 91, 92, somewhere around there? Or was that the one after 9/11? But
no,
I
it
think
was
that was the
him.
one with Daddy Bush. I think Daddy Bush's war in the Middle East was with Storm and Norman. And I think Colin Powell might have been chair of the Joint Chiefs at that point. I don't know.
Yeah,
He was
Fort
something.
Cobb was he was definitely over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Storm and Norman, as they called them. That was but that was Daddy Bush, right? That was HW, not W, right?
Yeah, that was HW.
That was HW,
That was
Daddy.
HW.
Yeah, that was Kuwait. Thank you, Ronald. That was Kuwait. That was still the Middle East. I remember that. And then there was the Iraqi war. They could say they ain't declared all they want to, but they damn sure called it a war. They damn sure called it one. Anyway, my point is there is the setup for World War III. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, y'all. I'm not trying to use I'm not trying to be a fear mongerer and just say things to, invoke fear, but I am trying to be realistic with you all with the volatileness of what is going on over there. Remember, Israel has already attacked Iran when they killed the leader of Hamas over there in Iran. And Iran has
Now,
already
mind
said,
you, this is the same behavior that we have formally condemned Russia for when they've
mm,
assassinated people in allied
mm,
nations. When they what is it, Novichok that they killed somebody with, and so many people got sick from it, and they were just like, oh no, this is a total violation of sovereignty. We had all of those things to say about it when it was Russia doing it, but when Israel does it, we say nothing.
mind you, that was after, remember, Israel bombed what they said, an area in Iran where they said they thought that's where Iran held its nuclear weapons. And Iran said, yeah, y'all thought that's where our nuclear weapons were. And they wanted, remember, Iran sent the warning shots with those hundreds of missiles over to
Mm-hmm.
Israel and said, we wanted y'all to know we were sending this. That's the warning shot. Fuck around and find out if you think it's a game. So Iran is just waiting at any given point, I think, just to say, yeah,
It
I think
would
today is
it
today.
would behoove the U.S. to de-escalate the situation before Iran gets involved, because it's different when they have nukes.
Very different.
The calculus changes quite substantially when
hmm
they have enough range to target a major U.S. city and wipe it completely out. Like, these are things that people need to realize. This isn't World War II anymore. There's a lot more technology that's out there. It's very easy. I mean, a drone strike looks like playing a video game, and we've done plenty
So,
of those, and they're
yep,
very precise.
very.
So I don't understand why they're doing all this bombing, hitting hospitals, killing women and children, when you can target what you want.
And let's be clear, if the United States of America really wanted to de escalate the situation, they absolutely would. If they truly wanted to get Israel off of this, they absolutely know exactly how to do that.
You know what you have to do? You have to cut that. You have to cut that hose pipe of funding that goes to them. I
Child.
mean, I was looking it up a little bit after you sent over the articles, and it was cumulatively, since the inception of Israel, they've received $310 billion from the U.S.
Mm.
Yet the people that are living in poverty in America are children, the elderly, and the disabled.
And here we are. Well,
I'm just saying.
we're just saying, we just calling it like it is. This is what happened. We are certainly going to monitor this situation because now that they're in Lebanon, I could see this escalating quickly. I literally could see this escalating quickly. Here's what this means to many of you all who says it doesn't matter. If this shit escalates quick, I said this before on this platform. If this shit escalates quickly and we do end up being in some simulation of war where we have a large scale military presence there, That's going to change. That is going to absolutely change the trajectory and dynamics of this election. I promise you that. If that happens before November 5th, that will change in a moment's eye the complete trajectory of this presidential election. Completely.
We don't need an October surprise, and that would definitely not be an ideal October surprise.
I agree with Sam. We know APAC won't let any de-escalation happen, which is why the United States government, who APAC has lined the pockets of every politician on both sides, have had their pockets lined by APAC. Wants no part of saying anything that's in disagreement with what APAC wants to happen, and APAC is full lockstep and key with the Netanyahu government. Let's be clear. That's a whole different story. But yeah, so for people who are saying, I don't care what's going on over there, it don't matter. But they are saying that they are, well informed politically. They're not well informed politically, because I promise you that shit over there is volatile. And if we go to war, the American public does not trust Democrats in terms of times of war. That's just how they are. I'm telling you right now. So all of the political capital, all of the points that you've gotten, all of the goodwill you've garnered over the last 2 months, that could be gone in an instant. I'm just telling you what I know. But you can sit over there and play these reindeer games talking about, oh, we really are trying to get them to de-escalate. No, you're not. Anyway, in other news, let's talk about what's
Voter
going on.
suppression. Let's talk about
Huh?
voter suppression.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get to. Let's talk about the fact that we're having our rights, taken from us in attempts by several states to suppress our votes. Like there are several states right now
You
that
mean like the
are.
great state of Mississippi?
Oh yes, oh yes.
So that
Go
one is
ahead, go ahead.
interesting to me because it's now at a conservative appeals court with three Trump appointees, aka the Fifth Circuit of Appeals.
Where
Um,
democracy goes to
to
die.
die. Yep,
Hmm.
absolutely correct. So they've upheld this Mississippi law wherein which mail-in ballots that are postmarked by the correct date that are received within 5 days of an election, they're accountable. Because if the mail didn't do their job, we shouldn't throw people's votes out. That's what everyone's saying. However, the GOP lawsuit is seeking to throw that out. Now, 20 states, in addition to Mississippi, have these laws in place. But the Republicans are alleging that it violates federal statutes.
Here's the real issue.
Also, one state that's very important in this, very important, Maryland allows late ballots, as does Nevada, as does Ohio, as does Virginia. There's a reason why they're doing this lawsuit, and it's truly because it's states that might be a little close, but if we can get these mail-in ballots thrown out and we know who votes with mail-in ballots, it's a way for us to take the election.
Well, let's be clear. The Republicans, they know every loophole. There's nothing in this election cycle in the Magnolia state of Mississippi that is contentious, close, or up for debate with regard to election malfeasance.
Mm-hmm.
However, they are purposely going through the great state of Mississippi because Mississippi, along with Louisiana and Texas, fall under what? The Fifth Circuit. They don't have a reason. Mississippi knows what's going. You can go ahead and write in who's going to win what in Mississippi. We already know that. There's no Mississippi ain't a battleground, ain't nothing. Mississippi is going to be Mississippi. However, what Mississippi gives them, if they have this go on in Mississippi, that gives them the right to have this go up the chain in the Fifth Circuit, where democracy goes to die. And whatever happens in the Fifth Circuit now can affect a state like Maryland. Now, you might say, L. Teddy, Kamz, Maryland is the bluest of blue states. Why do they care about Maryland? Because Maryland's Senate race is very close right now and very well contested. And even if Donald John lost the presidency, Republicans, if they can, which looks like they have a good possibility of doing, if they can flip the Senate, that is a win for Republicans. Because now
Nothing gets
I,
done.
I don't give a damn what Kamala Harris wants to get done. She may not even get her whole cabinet confirmed. Remember how long it took? We were in September and October of 2021, still trying to get some of Biden's cabinet members confirmed because Mitch McConnell was like, well, fuck you and fuck your life. And then we had fucktards like Joe Manchin, who was over here on the fence, like, well, I don't know. It was a mess, a whole mess. Okay. So they know how to play these games. And what scares me is you got that situation with the with Mississippi. You have Georgia now saying, oh, I think it's Georgia and Arizona that are now saying, oh, y'all have to manually count every ballot. Like, what? Manually count? And then it has to, Georgia says, not only do you have to manually count every ballot, 3 people have to manually count it, and all 3 must be in perfect agreement, because if not, we can't certify the validity of it.
And it's so interesting that they're trying to do this so close to the election
Mm-hmm.
because of the Purcell principle. Um, 2006, during the midterm elections, Arizona voter ID law. They were trying to do some things. It made it to the district court denied the plaintiff's request for the injunction. They appealed to the Ninth Circuit. The Ninth Circuit granted the injunction pending an appeal. The appeal would have been after the election. So the Supreme Court, and their shadow docket, said that no, we're not going to do that. But that's been a principle that's been applied very inconsistently by the judicial branch. Normally, you don't want to change the rules of a game this close to the election because it causes confusion.
And here's where the Republicans fuck themselves, because in many of these Republican states, they do have laws on the books that say that you're not allowed to change anything involving an election within 90 days of an election. Most of the Republican states had that in place because they didn't want the Dems to be able to do anything. But now they've shot themselves in the foot. A lot of the things that they have problems with, they put in place. For example, early voting. Early voting was a Republican iteration. That's something that Republican Party started. Early voting. That was something they did. And what happened was, now that we have the Democrats caught on, and a lot of most of the early voting now is Democratic, now they don't want any parts of it. Now they don't want any parts of it. The same thing with some of these laws that say you can't in fairness change laws affecting elections within 60 days, because that's, we see that there's some, something nefarious going on. Oh, but now, oh yeah, we know that don't apply this time.
It's always convenient, these legal arguments that they have, and the reason why it's in the Fifth Circuit is because they venue shop.
Mm-hmm.
All those states I named, right, that have similar laws. You specifically chose Mississippi because they're three Trump appointees there, and they're going to be more, I would say, hospitable or amenable to some of the legal reasoning that is used. We'll see if the Purcell doctrine comes into play. Like, I hope that it does, because I don't feel like if you voted, it is postmarked by the correct date, they shouldn't throw your vote out. Why are we throwing people's votes out that followed the process? I'm not understanding what the issue is. One person, one vote.
Well, we're starting to see, Ronald, a lot of issues like this. I know not only was Kamala left off the ballot in Montana, there was also the issue in Palm Beach County where they had to take back, rescind several several hundred ballots because they had Tom Walls instead of Tim Walls on the ballot. Just and this is during time where people are actually voting. We have real voting happening right now. We're not talking about, oh, this is private. No, we have real votes that are really being cast as we speak in a lot of states already. Hmm. But y'all magically can't get the ballots right. Magically, I mean, this reeks of
I don't know
so.
about Montana, but I could see Florida, because I is next to O on the keyboard. I could see that, but I'm so distrustful of them with how they've tried to subvert faith in the electoral process. You can't
Hmm.
gaslight us into thinking that you won in 2020. You didn't. It was fair. You lost. But
And
you
you
have these people believing these conspiracy theories because they didn't get their way.
and now you're talking about a state like Montana who has one of the most contested Senate races in the country, in the entirety of the country. So what if those people who got the wrong ballots turn those ballots in, don't try to get a new ballot and just go with that, and now their ballot is not counted because it's not a valid ballot. I'd love to see where in Montana those ballots went. I'd love to see the concentrations of where those ballots went. We see the ones in Florida are in Palm Beach County, which is a blue state. Palm Beach County is much more blue than Miami-Dade County, actually. Yup, you see what's going on here, Ken. I don't have to bring you up to speed. You see what's going on here. These people cannot be
I know
trusted.
them for their works:
Hmm.
gaslighting, obstructing, and projecting. That's what they do.
Like it's a whole goddamn mess. Okay. Now, one good thing that we got out of some of these new rules is North Carolina got told, yeah, you can't tell the people they can't use digital IDs. They can use their digital IDs. Yes, they can. So I'm glad that that went through. But some of these other places, they're doing everything in their power. They have already started to do everything in their power to subvert the people, subvert the will of the people.
And it's really dangerous when you have things like that occur, because it happens so incrementally that a lot of Americans are going to be asleep at the wheel, and then all of a sudden, like the Patriot Act,
Hmm.
unconstitutional as hell, violating the hell out of your privacy. But it's become
Hmm.
so normalized now, when they pass additional laws chipping away at your privacy, you don't blink. I think voting is going to be a little bit different, just due to the history that it has with our community, because people died for this. And I think they're messing with the wrong people, because we're not going to accept that. And I do think that the legal reasoning they tried to use was bullshit,
Hmm.
if I may say so.
It
It was
was.
bullshit, and they are deliberately misreading a statute.
Well, speaking of subverting or having to acquiesce to the will of the people, then we have Nebraska,
The great state of Nebraska.
the great state of Nebraska. I only know black people. I told y'all in Omaha and Lincoln. Those are the only two places where I know it's black people, and that's mainly because it's college towns in those areas, and they have football players that are black.
I did stop in good old Omaha before,
Mm.
and Lincoln, and Lincoln.
Well, I think Nebraska has what, 3 electoral votes? I think they have 3 in
Yeah.
Omaha. I mean, in Nebraska.
So the interesting thing is, you know, Lady G was up there trying to turn the pressure on.
She was.
She was up there. She was up there.
She was doing all of the morning shows on Sunday too.
Look, probably down to the
Child.
grinder.
She had just done left the Republican Saturday night sex party that night before, hadn't even went to sleep. Mama sat up there on all the morning shows.
Lady G was up there trying to, you know, press them to change how they allocate the electoral votes to, oh, it needs to be winner take all. The whole point is you take that 1 point away from Harris, the electoral map suddenly becomes a lot more difficult for her to get to 270, right? And I would say, like, I was shocked at how quickly they came out against it. Senator Mike McDonald, a former Democrat who
State
switched over
senator.
to the Republican Party, said he thought hard about it. He did some deep contemplation and considering. And he said 43 days outside of the election, it's not the right time to do this.
Let's
Now,
be clear.
the only reason he said that is because he's running for mayor of Omaha. It's a very politically expedient decision. I think it just so happens to help democracy.
This man flips and flops like a good verse man at a sex party, that those same alleged Republican sex parties. Okay. The man ran as a Democrat out of Omaha because he knows you needed to be a Democrat in order to win elections. Got in that state Senate and said, "Oh, I was just joking. Now I'm a Republican." But it's too late now because I'm already here.
Didn't they
But
put it in North
because
Carolina?
yeah,
Didn't
they
they just put it in
remember the
North
same thing
Carolina?
happened in the North Carolina House of Representatives. But the difference is, as a state senator, you stay there for a longer period of time. So you can get some real estate in between it. And sometimes voters may forget your fuck shit that you had going on. But now that he's coming up on this pending election for the mayor of Omaha, now all of a sudden you want to lean more on the Democratic principles and stuff like that you leaned on when you were trying to get elected the first time. We see what's going on here, sir. You're not fooling anyone.
That's what they're trying to do right now. Like, we don't see it. But I would
No, I
say
know y'all have term limits, Nebraska, but what I'm saying is the
that's why
length
he's
of,
running for mayor of Omaha due
right.
to the term limits.
But what I'm
That's why
saying
he
is
came
the
out
length
against
of time that a state senator is in office is longer than a state representative, which is only 2 years, whereas a state senator in most states is 6 years, some states are 4 years. So my point being that with that many years in between when you flipped and went Republican, some people may forget your fuck shit and fuckery by the time you get to the next election.
And then I think another thing is too that is it the Ronald? Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's the second district in Nebraska. It's not solidly red or blue. It flips between elections. So I mean, it's relevant. That one vote is relevant. People may not think so, but that is actually a pretty competitive district because it flip flops depending on what's going on in those particular elections. So you know,
So yeah, I know that they're looking for any way they can claw away a victory. Like they are scraping the bottom of the barrel to see how they can, find any path they can't, especially with what's going on in North Carolina right now, especially, and just as bad as it is in North Carolina with Lieutenant Governor Jabba the Hutt, Mark Robinson, is equally as bad with your girl who's trying to run for that Senate seat in Arizona, Carrie Lake, because she's
My
living in
girl.
bizarro world. That's your girl.
What,
That ain't
what's
mine.
your girl?
No,
I,
no, 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 no,
I
no,
don't
no.
look. I do not befriend transracial people.
Because the woman is black but don't want to be black.
I'm telling you, she's transracial. She
Mm.
identifies as anything other than black.
Even though there's black blood running through her body.
She's transracial. I'm telling you. I don't know any transracial people. That's not my ministry. That's not my cross to bear. I don't know her. But North Carolina, that I'm sorry, that gubernatorial election, I'm watching it every day. All the news that comes out, I want to see it. Because you knew
I,
this. When you're running for office, well, I'm telling you, they do prostate exams, mammograms, checking your cervix. They want to know everything about you. So you didn't get vetted? They didn't
well,
dig into this a little deeper?
listen, they knew who he was. They knew exactly who he was. And the thing about it is, what happens is North Carolina said, "Oh, the country's going further and further and further to the right,
Mm.
more conservative. We don't mind having some MAGA nut way out in bizarro world Jabba the Hutt spew all kinds of fuckery because they saw that's what worked. That's what got Trump there, right? Trump gave a full, and even Republicans within the state that said he's way too out of order. He's way too far right. But because Donald John said no, he has my
Seal of
approval.
approval.
He has my unfettered, recommendation. They said, well, I guess we gotta, acquiesce and allow that to happen. Stupid ass people who vote Republican in the great state of North Carolina elected him in the primaries. North Carolina is the type of state they don't want all one
They
side.
like
They want
divided government. They like divided
Exactly.
government.
They like this divided government, which is why they vote separately for their governor, lieutenant governor. They even vote for their Supreme Court. They vote in their Supreme Court justices as well. So that's how he got there.
I mean,
So, and
they
he's
like
been
to function and
spewing,
dysfunction.
he's been spewing crazy shit since before he was governor and while he was lieutenant governor.
Oh yeah, he wanted gay people to die. Gay people should some. Yeah,
Yeah, he said trans people don't need to use bathrooms. They need to go out there and shit in the grass. Oh yeah, like the
North Carolina
animals.
must be an interesting place to live.
He also said that it says that there should be no reason for anybody to have an abortion for any reason whatsoever, even
But
if it's for the to save the mother's life. He said that's just God telling you it's time for you to go on to glory. Mind you, his wife had
his
an abortion,
congestive heart failure doesn't say that.
but his wife had an abortion 30 years ago, though.
But you know how they are. The
Oh yeah.
only moral abortion is my abortion.
Yeah, because you know how he is. He's a raging hater of the trans community, except for when he wants to get his rocks off. And now he well,
Look, I'm just doing just nasty.
mm.
Switching topics to something else domestic.
No, I'm just joking, Jim Bunny. She's white. She's not black. She's white.
I don't. She's transracial. How do you feel about the vice president's comments putting support behind eliminating the filibuster to codify Roe v. Wade. What are your thoughts?
I think that, see, I don't want to just go unbridled with my thoughts because y'all gonna get mad at me. So
Do
I'm
we
gonna let you
not?
go
Okay,
first.
so this is red, blue, and black, right? Is that not what this show is?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do? We give people the unfiltered truth about politics as it impacts us because we do what the mainstream media won't.
Let me say this then. I think, just like I told Kamala when she first took the nomination, that you need to shut the hell up anytime somebody asks you about the Israel Hamas war, because I know I'm not going to like your answers. I think in this case, we didn't need to hear this from you, because you telling me that you only want to in the filibuster for certain things is a problem for me. The filibuster is a problem as a whole. Throw that shit in the garbage. Throw it in the garbage. It is a problem. It's been a problem. But you telling me that you want to play both sides of the fence now. You want to have it both ways. I want to keep the filibuster, but for this reason, I want to break the filibuster. So you want to break the filibuster for reproductive rights, but you don't want to break the filibuster when it comes to law enforcement. You don't want to break the filibuster when we're trying to pass the John Lewis Voters' Right Act. You don't want to break the filibuster when it comes to something like the George Floyd Justice with Policing Act. You don't want to break the filibuster when there are all types of things and reasons why this thing is a problem. You all also, when you all start talking about this breaking the filibuster thing, then I have to remember that y'all be on the wrong side of history with that, and you're also getting the whole Supreme Court situation wrong, because you're so like, oh, we can't pack the Supreme Court. There's no such animal as packing the Supreme Court. There is no law in our Constitution that says there has to be a certain number of justices on the Supreme Court. Mind you, we have 9 justices because at the time when they went to 9 justices, guess what? We only had 9 circuits in the judiciary. So there was a justice for each circuit. But now we have 13 and stupid ass people talking about, oh, they're traditionalists. No, you aren't. You're just idiots who want to hold on to your stupid ass talking point and to your stupid ass unpopular positions in order to thwart the real law, thwart having real laws being passed in this country. So for me, her saying that she thinks that we should, do away with the filibuster, but only for this one thing, miss me with that. Unless you're talking about fully getting rid of that shit, don't come to me with this. Oh, yes for this, but no for that. No, I'm not here for it.
Come on now.
It's your turn. I'm done.
I just think it's interesting because people don't realize we've had the filibuster around for a while. It's it's tradition, I would say. It's largely ceremonial, but it's stupid. I mean, just like when we were in World War I, they used the filibuster then. Like using that during a time of war, we know what it's used for. You can't subvert the will of the majority. It's tyranny of the minority. Because you can, if you have a well organized filibuster, you just can't invoke cloture because I mean they have what to invoke cloture in Rule 22. You have to have 3/5 of the Senate vote yes, which just do a fucking simple majority. If our elections are first past the post, everything needs to be first past the post. Like I don't see the why are we making this goddamn complicated? Like it's different for quorum. Like okay, yeah, I could see that, but like anyway, it's dumb. Like I'm in favor of getting rid of it because it was used by Mitch McConnell in a very non-traditional way to block all of those judicial appointments. But all of a sudden, when Trump's putting people through, ramming them through roughshod, it needs to go.
Mind you, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans know how and when to use it, whether they're in power or not. Whether they have the majority or the minority, they wield the power of that filibuster. But magically, the Dems have no clue of what to do or how to stop the lunacy that's going on with the Republican side. You ever notice that? Like, they have no earthly clue. Mitch McConnell could get laws passed and say, damn the Democrats and damn you and your filibuster. This shit is getting passed. You notice that when he was
Yeah,
in majority? And now, every time we need something, Chuck Schumer is always, well, you know, we, you know, I can't.
but here's the thing: we have the nuclear option, and by the nuclear option, parliamentary procedure, it allows you to overrule standing rules by a simple majority vote. When was the last time this was used, you ask?
Mm,
2017, when Neil Gorsh, or whatever his last name is,
mm-hmm,
he they invoked that to vote on his nomination.
mm-hmm.
I don't know why we can't do it, the nuclear option, to get a vote on Roe v. Wade. We could have done it this entire time. We have the votes. But I think that they want to just run on it.
They love playing the victim. In as much as they talk about, see, I'm gonna be real with you. Just like Donald Trump told Republicans, make sure y'all don't vote on that border bill because we need to be able to run on that. The Dems do the same thing.
Abortion is definitely that. I mean, because we're willing to sacrifice black women. We already know they have a high, mortality rate giving birth. We can sacrifice them for the greater good, right?
Mm.
I think it's I don't even have a word for but it really rubs me the wrong way when we want to pick and choose. Be consistent. If we're gonna get rid of it, get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Just get rid of it. Because we're not accomplishing anything in the Senate. We accomplish nothing in the House of Representatives either. But like, I don't see why our tax dollars are paying these people to travel to and from DC to not do shit. Because what a budget is.
Well,
And why are we always on the verge of a damn government shutdown?
well, and in addition to that, because these people are so ridiculous, okay? uh, Speaker Johnson already said, even if we pass, to keep the government going, it's supposed to end on December 20th, and he is not going to sign a Christmas omnibus. For those people who don't know what that is, usually if the government is supposed to shut down around the time of a major holiday like Christmas or New Year's or a time where they're going to be out, they'll pass what they call an omnibus for the holidays because that allows because they know there's a big break in Congress and they're not going to be there for a long time. So, in addition to the stopgap bill, they'll pass what they call an omnibus to cover also the time where they know Congress is going to be out because of, Christmas or New Year's or time, situations like that. But Mike Johnson said, "Yeah, I'm not here for a Christmas omnibus this year." Guess what y'all got going on?
I don't think a
And
lot of
he
people.
doesn't want to commit to that because he's waiting to see how November goes.
I mean, well, we knew that was going to happen,
Oh
but
yeah, oh yeah.
it's also interesting with the omnibus bill, right? Whenever they do pass it, we only talk about the funding to continue uh, the functioning of government to pay its debts, right? But we never talk about how the omnibus bill is literally an amalgamation of a bunch of different bills. And they just vote. Like they don't 50 different unrelated topics. But we only cover they funded this, but like what else did they do?
Mm.
What else did they slip in there?
Right, because they love to slide it in.
And that's why I don't like whenever we're, at the threat of a shutdown, people are still putting riders on bills. Or they're trying to amend things, and the amendment is like 30 pages, and you want to give it to people at 11:45, and we got to vote before midnight. I don't think that the people that are running the government want a functioning government.
They don't.
I'm starting to think that
They don't.
because we do things that make no sense.
It does to them. It doesn't help them win elections.
Because why is the Speaker of the House a pervert, a weirdo who monitors his son's porn and has his son monitor his porn?
Ronald, I'm going to assume that says when did we have a budget pass? That's a good question. I'm sure it's at least about 20 years or so. The over under is 15 years. I'm taking the over. If the over under is 15 years, I'm taking the over.
You're taking the over?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
I could be wrong.
We've been operating on continuing resolutions for the past, I want to say, oh, damn, no.
I'm taking the over.
I don't know.
Yes, yeah, I'm from Texas. We did a whole story over here about Mike Johnson and him and his son, and they're monitoring each other's porn to see what each other is watching. Yeah, we did a whole story on that. It's so disgusting.
I mean, but then you also have to realize, LT, that we don't pass spending bills. We don't pass the appropriation bills on time. We've only done it like fucking twice.
And every time we've done one, it's been under a Democratic president.
You're not lying. That's factual.
Oh, that I know. I know that.
That's factual. But in other crazy ass sick sad world news, did you see the Democratic Party campaign headquarters that was shot at?
Down to the Arizona, yeah,
down to the Tempe.
Mm-hmm. Down to Tempe, Arizona. They shot up Kamala Harris's well, not just Kamala, but the Democratic campaign offices in Tempe, Arizona were shot up last night. Luckily, it was at night and nobody was there. But God forbid, and you don't hear a lot of talk about this. Cause like this isn't breaking news, right?
And I mean, but like, does this not harken you back to 2011 when Gabby Giffords was shot?
That's what I'm saying. They're not going to be happy until we have some tragedy that takes place, and now everybody's, the alarms and bells and whistles are going off. When it's too many close calls at this point. Too many close calls. Too many. Oh, we just missed. Oh, da 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 da. Y'all ain't gonna be happy until we have another freaking tragedy. Y'all are not gonna be happy until we have that happen.
I mean, well,
like it's just ridiculous at this point.
But we all know this, El Teddy, laws and regulations are written in blood.
Well, then there's that.
And I try not to get so cynical while we're doing this, but if you really just study history and how we continue to do the same things and expect different results, it's insanity. And this is a state where even after she got, I mean, it was an attempted assassination of an elected representative, right? And
And in the
six
same
people
state, we have,
died.
and in the same state, we have them shooting up campaign offices.
Now,
Mind
mind
you,
you, this is the state where they have permit for concealed carry, and they don't have a ban on assault weapons.
and mind you, this is also the same state in the 2022 elections where they had people with assault rifles standing by the ballot boxes where you turned in your ballots, intimidating people from voting. The same state.
I mean, does it have to get worse before it gets better, or can we just collectively get our
Apparently.
shit together?
Apparently it does. Apparently it
I'm
does.
telling you, and I think a lot of this is people that have been in power for entirely too long. Because why are you 80 deciding the future of our nation? You're not going to see it. I'm just being
And,
honest. They're not going to
and,
see it. You're not going to see the impact
and
because you're
that's
going
my
to be
point.
gone.
As much as they complained about Uncle Joe, what about Grandpa John Kennedy that's sitting on the goddamn Senate that y'all just reelected his ass in what was that 2022? He just got reelected. His ass is older than God. His ass barely remembers to put his damn teeth in when he goes up there to Senate congressional hearings. Like them.
Hmm.
His ass who's telling people that they should have their head in a goddamn bag. I don't mean to be spiking out, y'all. I
I
do not
mean,
mean to be spiking out.
but politics is real, right? Like when we, and I got so annoyed today because someone was like, "Oh, I don't really get into the political stuff," but you're the main one complaining about how the city and the government spends its money. Isn't that political? Hmm. They're not gonna see it. We know they're not. They're gonna be looking up at us because they're all going to
Just a
hell, as far as I'm
mess.
concerned.
Just a goddamn mess. Um, I know you don't want to talk about this state, but we do have to go to the great state of Texas.
Ain't shit great about it, but the misery I endured when I was there.
Well, there's some polling that has hey Sean, there's some polling that has Rafael Cruz with a 5 point lead. There's one poll that has Allred up by 1 point.
And
And
it's
we've
very
talked about this.
interesting.
And you should also know the second gentleman has been stomping and campaigning in Texas and is on record saying that even if Texas doesn't go blue this state, it's important that we chip away at Texas. Texas is getting closer and closer because it's a couple reasons. Austin is one of the biggest reasons why. Austin, Texas, because Austin, Texas has now emerged as a technology center in this country. It used to be Silicon Valley over in California, but the tax laws in California are not advantageous to major corporations. But Republican led Texas wants all parts of giving,
They're giving
these
tax break.
major
They're giving tax breaks
tax
left and
breaks
right.
to all of the rich. So what did Silicon Valley do? They all started to migrate to Austin, Texas. And Austin, Texas has emerged as a huge technology center. But what
Lord.
what Governor Hot Wheels did not realize is by you inviting all of these people from Silicon Valley, you're also inviting a lot of the young population, and you're inviting a lot of people because the C suites only make a small, minute part of that company. Is the C suites. The most of the people that's on the workforce vote blue. They just do. And so you have Austin, whose population has ballooned and more so blue than anything. The other major areas have ballooned as well because you have a lot of people migrating from states like Florida and states and places like Washington D.C., which are becoming increasingly expensive with the cost of living. So you have a lot of people moving to Dallas and Houston and San Antonio and Austin. So the metropolitan areas are becoming larger and bluer. And then you have to contend with the fact of the Latino or Latinx population, which is continuing to grow. All of those are adding to um, Texas becoming more and more purple than it is red.
Spot on analysis. Um, I think that this needs to be a wake up call because, Real Clear Politics had Cruz up by 5 points, but then there's some more recent ones that it's within the margin of error. It's literally a toss up. And this shouldn't be, a close race because Texas is fairly red. But Cancun Cruz is so disliked in his own state and within the Senate that I feel like the dark horse candidate could win this one. But to go back to one of your earlier points, this needs to be worrying to the GOP in Texas because, everyone's predicting it's going to be a purple state. Everyone is predicting that. So as the demographics shift and your base dies, because they will, what are your policies going to do to attract these younger generations of voters?
I mean, Texas is red until it's not. We had Ann Richards back in the 90s.
The last Democrat for governor.
It's blue until it's red until it's not. And they've been chipping away. I shouldn't say the Dems have been chipping away, but because of what we talked about earlier with the population, how the demographics of Texas is changing. Texas is not just a bunch of rednecks watching tumbleweeds go by anymore. Texas is very diverse, which is why you have a governor and a legislature that don't want you to learn or know anything about diversity, which is why they did away with any DEI anywhere in the state. They were the first ones. Before there was the national movement about DEI, Texas did that shit way back in 2020. They were here for it way back. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can only keep people ignorant for so long. And I think that's why the TikTok ban is really occurring.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok is allowing us to connect with people. We can get authentic news that's not filtered through gatekeepers. I think that's the big reason why, because I'm able to see what's going on in the Middle East because people are there live. I'm able to see it for myself. I'm not just watching somebody in a safe zone in front of a camera. It's giving you real information. I feel like once you have real information, you make more informed decisions. We should want our populace to be informed and educated. But all the children have been left behind, if you ask me. But
I think that I don't know that I can't speak to what'll happen in the 2024 Senate race because like I said, like you said, Cancun Cruz is very unpopular. Very, very unpopular. So I can't speak to what he will do. I also don't know what the turnout will be like. And I also don't know what the great state of Texas is going to do nefariously to subvert the will of the people.
I mean,
Because
well, this is unrelated to this particular story, but there was another story where Ken Paxton said if he didn't stop mail-in voting, the election would have been a lot different in Texas. He openly admitted that. They're saying the quiet.
just like Ken Paxton is right now trying to stop voter registrations, claiming, "Oh, this must be illegals registering to vote, and there's no evidence of this. Just a met. He's Ken Paxton, mind you, the convicted felon Ken Paxton, that guy, the sex offender who y'all have as the attorney general. Go figure. God of mercy.
We
Um,
have a person running for president that's a convicted felon. This
well,
is the
then there's
land of
that.
opportunity.
As long as you're a white male
There
Christian
you go.
heterosexual.
There you go. That's the asterisk, and you have to read the
Yeah.
fine print all the way at the bottom.
Oh yeah, and don't forget the fifth one, rich. There's five: white male Christian heterosexual and rich. There you go. Hmm.
I thought that was so interesting that how they cry about elections not being fair, but they do everything to rig the election in their favor.
Right, but then it's only not fair if they don't win. But if they win, then magically everything was fair.
Hmm.
I guess
I mean, we just live here, you know.
that's it. That's all.
We didn't create this problem. I mean, we're trying to fix it, but there's so much to undo.
There's so much.
It's so much to undo. Like at one point, I had dreams of running for office. I would never do that to myself because the way that they would have me spiking out on the floor, I would have put hands on somebody. That would have been me on C-SPAN choking somebody.
Yep.
That would be me because I can't function in dysfunction, and I think that's what the American government is right now. And I don't think it doesn't matter who's at the top. We have to fix Congress because y'all not passing no budgets. What are y'all doing? What are you there for, other than the sex parties?
And to collect money from APAC and other special interest groups.
And see, this is why I support term limits. But then I think about the downsides of term limits. Now these special interest groups get even more powerful because we're electing a bunch of new people that don't even know the structure and the systems.
Yep. It's a balancing act. Balancing act.
Just blow it all up and start over. Just blow it all up and start over. That goddamn constitution it has us so goddamn hampered. These people, like this whole Second Amendment debate, well regulated militia. Who is the militia? Who are these people?
I really think that if the
And why do we care so much
founding,
about a document from the 1700s?
I really think if the founding fathers were really alive, they would laugh at us. They would literally laugh at us like you people are the dumbest people we've ever met in our lives. Like
They would be like,
they would literally look at us like y'all for y'all to have all this fucking technology and access to everything and science and stuff. You're the stupidest fuckers ever. Like they
come on now.
literally would have to look at us that way.
Come on now. We're literally beholden to a document from fucking 1787 when we weren't considered human, when we were 3/5 of a person.
When half the world still thought the world was flat.
Come on now. When mercantilism was the prevailing economic theory. We're letting that document guide us. Why? I'm just saying. I've seen countries go through multiple constitutions. Why
Here's
the hell has
here's my other thing. I think we're getting dumber politically because I feel like the thing was designed to be continuously improved upon, added to, ratified. When was the last ratification of said constitution? How long ago was the last amendment added to the Bill of Rights? See, people think we can only add to the Bill of Rights, not knowing that there's a whole process for ratification of said constitution as well. When are we? But see, politically, we're dumber. And I don't even know that I trust these people to even start or begin the process of either one, adding an amendment to it or doing anything with regard to a ratification process.
I had to look this up. I had to look this up. May the 7th,
And
1992.
1992 was the last ratification.
Now, mind you, from the inception of the Constitution, that's 202 years, 223 days later. So we could change things. We're
Mhm.
just choosing not to.
Exactly, because these people are stupid. They can't even pass a budget. They can't even pass a budget. And we want them to ratify the Constitution.
I just think that it's interesting that even when with the ratification process, you still don't have to ratify it. You still don't. I mean, there's some states. I mean, they still haven't gotten around to doing some things yet.
I
Mississippi.
still think some of these people live in the day in their mind. They still live in the days of Quest for Fire. Shout out to Quest for Fire. That's the first time when I first saw that movie. I think I was in ninth grade world history, and I said to my teacher, I got thrown out of class. I said, "Why are we watching porn in class?" And he threw me out of class
I used to get put out of class all the time.
because Quest for Fire is porn at some points in that movie.
I used to just ask, so you just didn't have nothing in your lesson plan. You just don't want to teach today. I'll go to in school suspension. That's fine. You just don't want to do your job today. This fancy master's degree. You don't want to do nothing.
Mm,
But you talking
mm,
about everybody else stealing taxpayer money. I was in ISS for 2 weeks. Two
mm.
weeks. My mouth was a problem in school. But you gotta speak truth to power because why we always
You
watching movies?
do.
Why? What is your lesson plan? I know they didn't approve this. But back to the Constitution.
I
It
mean, that's just like me.
should
Was I
be.
wrong? I was told I was wrong for asking a teacher. I said, "Well, do they put all of the special ed kids in your class because you can identify with them?" And I was told that.
I'm not gonna lie. I did eat one of my teachers up real bad. I said if because I just felt like they were very biased in how they would grade, and I told her if it wasn't for double standards, you wouldn't have any.
Mm, that's horrible. You're a horrible person.
I'm a
You're a
Capricorn.
horrible
It's
person.
what we do. You're a Capricorn. It's what
I
we do.
am.
Look, we stay out the
Unfortunately.
way. We have our head down trying to do our work, make our
Until
money.
people bother us. And then when they bother us,
When you
now they
summon
mad
me,
because they done got what's coming. You came over here to bother me. I was over here minding my own business.
minding my goddamn business. And here you come with the bullshit. So now I have to respond in kind. But
Mm.
now I'm the villain.
Let me look and make sure we've emptied the dossier for today. Oh, we have. Look at us being efficient. I'm very
We did a
proud
good
of us,
job
sir.
today. I know. We did a great job today.
We did. I'm so happy that we did. I thank you for your commentary. We gotta. I think we do need to devote some time each time because we got to look at this international stuff. It's. I don't want us to be negligent and derelict of duties and talk about politics or talk about what's going on and not give at least a small piece of real estate to that because that is important. Programming note also, we are going to be out next week. We have some schedule conflicts and some traveling that's taking place. So we will be, we're taking next week, October 1st off, but we will be back on October 8th. Let me say that again, scheduling note, we will be out. We're taking next week off, but we will be back on October 8th. Um, when is the debate? Is that on the 15th?
The VP debate.
Yeah.
Uh, it's the first, so you could
Is it the
probably.
first?
It's yes, it's October the 1st. So you could probably
I'll
do a,
just do a watch along. Yeah, we'll do a watch
and then
party.
when I can join, I'll join from the chat. I'll be on my worst behavior. I'll make sure of that. Just because I'm gonna be 3 hours behind you, I just feel like the schedule is wrong.
And Sean said he could come up for the debate too.
I
So
would
we'll do
love
a
for
watch
Sean to come
party.
back up. Yes, I would love for Sean to come back up. But I really don't think that this is going to be a fair debate. JD Vance is gonna get drugged, then he's
Dog
gonna get
walked.
taken out to the woodshed and
Mm-hmm.
shot.
Not take it to the woodshed and shot. But yeah,
I
we'll do.
mean,
So we'll do a
have you
watch
heard
party
the
next
man
week.
speak? Have you heard him speak?
I have, unfortunately.
He's one of the. You know what? Let me not say that.
Mm.
I don't
Say
want to
it.
be. I don't want to be offensive
Mm.
to
You
a
like
certain
my you
community
like
because
my new ABC?
I do. I noticed that. I noticed that. I was like,
Because I've
I
moved
immediately went to see who
locations.
had her there.
So instead of my office being in my bedroom, I said I was going to save that large area on that side of my bedroom and turn that into my mini sex dungeon instead of my office slash YouTube studio. And so my extra room has now turned into my office slash YouTube studio. So I don't use this whole big space as my sex dungeon because that'd be dangerous. And I just want to limit myself to having a small space as opposed to a big space. Because if I have a big space, that invites more people. And I don't want to turn it into what the Republican Party has every weekend. Hmm. So we'll be doing a watch party next week.
I hope I can join. I really just want to hear the commentary on it because otherwise, I mean, I wasn't gonna watch the presidential debate, but since we did the watch, I don't like things that disturb my peace. Is how I'm gonna say that. And I knew that was gonna
Mm,
piss me off, and it did, and it did. People
mm,
eating dogs and cats in Springfield,
mm,
Ohio. My God.
mm. I also have a new chair coming. It hasn't come yet. It cost me a pretty penny.
Well, when you make the kind of money
Oh
that you
dear God! And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we about to get out of here because we're not gonna let him go into all of these lies and
you're not gonna
fallacies
let me
and
tell the truth.
fabrications.
How very Republican of you. This is oppression.
Sir, you have anything else for the people before we get out of here?
Um, Stay informed. If you see something, send it over to us. We can't catch everything. The members only chat. We can educate each other while we, roast and drag people, but we can do multiple things at once.
We can.
So if there's some things that you guys want to hear about, want us to give some commentary on, please let us know. We are more than happy to yap about politics and how it impacts our population specifically.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I don't know a three-letter word that starts with a, except for sit, set. El Teddy is a big set. El Teddy is a big sit. I'm trying to figure out what word you're trying to say there, sir.
You know exactly what it is. Let's not
I
play these.
don't know what he's trying to say.
You know what he's saying.
I don't know a three-letter word that start with S and ends in T that would fit there.
Technically, complex. It's not even a chair. It's more of a swing that El Teddy ordered. It's more of a swing.
It's a chair.
It's a swing. You can sit in it, perhaps more like lay, but
The chair is, well, this is my office slash YouTube uh 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 studio. So yeah. Mm.
see, this is why I tell you the children were left behind. Before
Mm-hmm.
the internet, they had us in separate classrooms based on our
Mm-hmm.
ability to, think critically, to comprehend. And then the internet came along and it just threw all of us together.
It did. Anyway, um, we about to get out of here. I'm trying to figure out what Paul was trying to say. Are you trying to call me a slut, Paul?
I mean, I think Paul is just like an umpire. He's just calling what he sees.
Listen, Paul Peter is the one who had trade over there all day, every day. But you
Well,
don't want to tell that, huh, Paul?
I don't fool
Uh
with
huh.
I don't fool with Trey. I don't know nothing about that life. He said
See,
yes,
he
sir.
said, yes, sir. He has trade there all day, every day. I
I
know
don't
what I'm
think he was
talking about.
agreeing to that. I don't think he was
I
agreeing
think
to
he
that.
was. Paul, tell him you agreed to the fact that you have trade there all day, every day. Mm.
Not that.
Mhm.
Not that.
Anyway, I'm about to go lay it down. And yeah. I'll tell you backstage. Anyway, we about to get out of here, y'all. We'll be back here next week for the watch along for the VP debate. Sean will be here. Maybe we can get really B to come up. She'll be wanting to come up here with us. She don't really care about us like that.
Don't be talking about my really be like that.
I'll tell her to her face.
That's my boo. I don't tolerate really be
I
slander.
don't care. Me and her gonna be partying though. At the end of next month, because I'll be in DC at the end of October. I'm sorry. So we're
So
gonna do
you
some
get to see her
things.
one weekend before I do. Big deal. Big deal.
Hmm.
Can't wait to see my really be. But anyway,
I
I'm a
see
party
her
with
all
really.
the time.
I'm a party with really be. Now what?
I see her all the time. That's my sister.
Can't help but love
Anyway,
you.
we about to get out of here, y'all. I've kept saying that, but we finna get out of here for real. We thank you all for being here for episode 8 of Red, Blue, and Black. And as we always say, regardless if the country is red or blue, we will always be black. And so we thank you so much for being here. Until next time, thank y'all for coming. Drive safely. Press the button, L Teddy.